Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Much appreciated you taking a little time to watch the video. And today we are going to pose a question out there. Are we raising a generation of weak bass anglers? And what I mean by this, are we raising a generation of bass anglers that simply just do not have the traditional skills that people grew up bass fishing with years ago? And there's a lot of different reasons for that we'll go into. But one part of this video, I'm going to be really curious to get your guys' opinion on this too. I'm just sort of going to give you my thoughts on it, but the purpose of this video is I'd like to get a dialogue going with everybody to see if you guys agree with what I'm talking about or don't agree. Real quick, just wanted to give you guys a weekly reminder. If anybody's interested on booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just shoot me a message on my Facebook page, a private message, Randy Blockett, Professional Angler. I've been booking trips out for the rest of the year here, getting pretty busy coming up with it, but if you want to send me a message and interested in that, that'd be much appreciated. I usually do most of the on-the-water lessons on Table Rock or Stockton Lake, so much appreciated there. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about this. The point of this that came up to me is we've seen a lot of this. We've talked about technology as far as it causes certain skills to atrophy, and it's sort of the same. Let me start out a little bit. I'll sort of compare it to hunting a little bit. Traditional hunting, I mean, the way it was done for thousands and thousands of years is that, people went out and they made their own hunting weapons. They made their own bows and arrows. They made their own spears. They made their own slings, different apparatus to hunt with throughout the ages, which required a great skill set. And on top of that, people had to become expert trackers in order to be a good hunter. They had to learn the habits of the animals. They had to understand tracks. They had to understand the movements of the animals based upon a lot of different variables out there. And it was an art form. It was truly a type of primitive technology that has been lost today with the modern hunters. Now they've got all these high-tech compound bows and rifles with scopes where you can shoot 500 yards, trail cams, drones, and the hunter today, the average hunter today, could not survive and would suck as a hunter if you put him back 500 years ago, because they've simply lost the skills. And in my opinion, that's what's sort of happening today with the younger generation of bass anglers. I see the same thing happening because a lot of the way that the bass anglers now are being taught about how to fish simply don't rely on those skills, the skills that are true, that truly matter as far as being an angler. And a good example what I'll give you here is like in my own situation. My learning ground for bass fishing was sneaking into farm ponds and getting mud on my feet and dodging snakes, and just getting in the muck and the mud and wading these ponds and seeing firsthand, up and close and personal, the biology of the pond, how it connected to the fish. So whether it be the bullfrogs or whatever forage the fish had, that type of stuff, wading creeks, floating creeks, everything with that. I was completely immersed in the natural world of fishing. There was no internet. I didn't have any articles. There was no technology. There was no boats. It was just me wading on a real primal, instinctual level, learning how to fish. And as part of that develops a strength within inside of you that can't be taught really. It's something that you have to experience and learn. You have to, unless you've immersed yourself in that teaching environment that I just explained about up close dirt time in the water, your feet grounded to the earth, feet grounded in the water, that type of stuff, you don't get that same type of education as a lot of the anglers in today's do. A lot of the anglers today, their typical environment they're thrust into, a lot of them, they've never waded a creek, they've never been into a farm pond, they've stepped into a bass boat the first trip they've had, they've immediately been exposed to all the latest technology. They have access to the internet, they have access to YouTube videos on how to fish, and so much of their fishing is digital. It's something that has been it's almost like it's almost like a fake environment in order to practice a sport at, and the actual act of fishing is secondary to all the other stuff that goes with it. So in my opinion, I think we're sort of raising a weak generation of bass anglers with the technology. And I'm not just talking about electronic technology, that's part of it. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about the social media, how we learn about it, you know, the bass boats, just the whole, everything the sports has become. So, you know, with those same kids, like I said, if you removed all the advantages that come with modern society around those anglers, would they be, if you thrust those people out in a primitive environment, would they be able to excel? Would they be able to understand the interconnectedness of nature on a real primal, you know, down to earth level that will enable them to actually catch fish? I don't think so. I mean, I think that to some extent they have. I mean, obviously, if you catch fish and you trick fish into bite and you know something about how to catching fish, but in doing so, you're removed so much from the natural world that makes all that stuff come together. So that's sort of the question I wanted to pose to you guys. It's just like, you know, do you guys think there's something missing there? Do you think that the younger generation of anglers out there that we have now and the ones coming up, you know, have they morphed into something that is not really an angler in the true sense of being an angler when you're talking about immersing yourself in that environment on a more pure level? I think a lot of the people that fly fish a lot of times, they have a real big connection with this because the fly fishing community has really preserved their sport. They have resisted technology at a tremendous rate. You know, a lot of the hardcore fly fishermen right now, that, you know, they still practice the sport the same way it's been done for 100 years. But anyway, I just wanted to throw out there, that's sort of my opinion. I equate it a lot to hunting, about how, you know, people have lost a lot of their primal skills as far as being hunters. I think they've done the same with anglers. I think most anglers out there, especially the younger ones, have lost. I'm not saying they can't catch fish. Obviously, they're extremely good, but they've lost a lot of the primal skills that come with it. And if they didn't have all of the advantages presented by modern technology, where would they be? You know, what would their skill levels be at that point? So shoot me some comments, guys. I'd just be curious to hear. I think it's an interesting conversation worth having, and I'll be interested to hear from you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.